All right, my name is Josh. This is Abraham. We are representing Cook Studios, and our game name is Michelin Mayhem. As I said before, my name is Josh, and I am the team lead. Abraham here is in charge of game level design, and this is everybody else doing artists, programming. We have a lot of names that kind of overlap with a lot of roles here because everyone in the group wanted to get involved with making every aspect of the game. So everyone just kind of wanted to help each other out, get experience for how to do everything with regards to level design, game art, Blender, all that stuff. So our inspiration for Michelin Mayhem is core gameplay will be based on Overcooked, and we also wanted to have coordination and interaction with regards to challenges and certain hazards that may appear in the game while you're trying to complete your objective. And the objective will be like Overcooked, where you have certain meals that you have to prep and deliver. If you already played Overcooked, you already know it's basically a very simple game objective. You just have a bunch of ingredients, cook them, prep them, and send them off to all the awaiting customers. But we obviously didn't want to do just a copy and paste clone of Overcooked. So we wanted to have some interesting interactions and hazards that aren't already present in Overcooked, such as oil spills and whatever, but we'll get to that on the later slides. So the game goals, obviously it will be a 3D format, and we wanted to utilize the low poly form art style. So the premise of the game, it's not really an ultra realistic game. It's supposed to be like a fun, almost childish kind of game where you can play with a bunch of friends if you have some over at like a house. It's supposed to be a fun party game, almost like Mario Party, stressful but fun. And we wanted to emphasize the use of co-op interactions to create challenges. So essentially, if you ever have a fire or something like that, if a fire breaks out in a kitchen, we want to have a co-op interaction that associates with that to where maybe two people have to use a lever in order to activate the sprinkler system. So there has to be a lot of teamwork in order to be successful in this game and complete your objective. And I haven't gotten to the story yet, but this point here where it says satirical humor-based take on AI, so the people you will be playing as in the game aren't actually people at all. They will be robots, because the premise of the game, which I will get to once I get to the story portion, is that you will be playing as robots. First ever robot-ran restaurant. And the number of players, this game won't be designed for a single player. It'll actually be designed for 2 to 4 players, because obviously you can't do a co-op interaction challenge if you only have one player. So here is the story. Here's some storyboard art that some of us made. Essentially, this left one shows a CEO celebrating the grand opening, cutting the ribbon for his new restaurant that is completely manned by AI robots. And of course, everyone there is a bit skeptical on the idea of a restaurant completely ran by robots. They're like, whoa, is that really okay? Like, do we really trust these guys with making our food? And of course, in the kitchen, all the robots are causing a mayhem, causing a lot of technical difficulties, and everyone's pretty skeptical about whether or not this restaurant will be successful. But of course, the greedy CEO does not care about the morals of replacing humans with AI, but we wanted to take a light stance on the whole situation and kind of make a humor-based game off of it, hopefully lift everybody's spirits. Here is another storyboard of robots kind of going through the process of making the food. We really wanted to try and develop a certain way of how robots develop the food. So using a lot of machinery rather than basic knives or ovens and whatnot to try and create the food, but the resulting result, it's not that great. Got a lot of stink coming out of the hamburger, but almost like AI slop, essentially, is what we were trying to go for. So, not exactly what you'd want to see from a restaurant, but it's what the greedy CEO wants. So, that's just the way it's going. And I'll have Abraham here talk about the concept designs for the character.
As for our character concept design, I know he mentioned earlier we're going to be having robots as our playable characters. Our robot design is a low poly design, kind of gives the game a casual, goofy kind of feeling. Even though the main playable characters are robots, the NPCs will be humans, like ordering the food, as he said in the story before.
And something I want to add is with the way the models have been rigged. Essentially, they don't use traditional animations like other games would, because we wanted our game to have more reactability in terms of the player models. So the way we're going to actually make the player walk is by manually rotating each of the legs in the desired position, the same way that Boston Robotics does with how they make their robots walk, with calculating the quaternions and making the robot move while also sustaining a self-balancing mechanism.
As for our level designs, each of our levels will progress in terms of the items we're serving. And so the next level will serve the previous level's item on top of a new item. And for the progressively difficult gameplay, there will be added challenges while making the items, and this will require active communication between both players.
And based on this drawing here, since the game is not really a realistic based game, it allows for a lot of freedom for what we can add for hazards and challenges. So one of the ideas that someone came up with was actually just slapping a train in the middle of the kitchen, because there could be a lot of interactions with the train hitting somebody while they're trying to make something. It makes absolutely no sense, but it adds a lot of gameplay improbability and fun interactions that could result from getting hit by a train.
As for our game layout, it'll start with the tutorial level, which will take about a minute, and then 3 levels that we'll progress through, which will take about 3.5 minutes each. And as for the objectives, you have to complete the task within the given time limit and complete the minimum amount of orders. And if you fail to do so by completing the minimum amount of orders or having a score lower than the minimum allowed threshold, then you won't pass the level.
Okay, so some examples for the challenges that we will have in our game. As I mentioned before, oil spills, since they are robots, it allows for maybe some slippage to happen. Maybe they're leaking oil, and that would allow for the player to kind of slip on the oil, cause some chaos while they're trying to make their food. Obviously, fires breaking out from leaving food inside ovens, and they get overcooked, starting fires. Helping other robots with reattaching limbs is something I was experimenting with, because I was able to kind of replicate and treat each limb as its own individual game object in Unity. And this essentially allows for each limb to kind of dynamically have its own interaction of being detached based on certain forces that get applied to the robot. So I was thinking that one of the interactions that we could have is maybe someone's head pops off while they're trying to bake something. They mess something up, and the robot's head gets detached, and he would have to replace it and kind of grab it